Good evening, Mount Pisgah. My name is Deacon Frank Kemper Jr., and I'd like to talk to you about living by faith. What is faith? According to Hebrews 11:1 in the New American Standard Bible, now faith is the certainty of things hoped for, a proof of things not seen. We have an example of that same faith in Hebrews 11:8. By faith, Abraham, when he was called, obeyed by going out to a place which he was to receive for an inheritance, and he left not knowing where he was going. We have an example of that very same faith here at Mount Pisgah. It was by faith that a small group of believers and Pastor Frank Roy Hatcher came together in his sister's house here in Kokomo and found that there was a need for a body of believers together in the plate glass community. That group started off and they met in people's homes. And then later on, they purchased a tent, which was then donated to the church by Pastor Hatcher's employer, Eli Lilly. Later on, after they outgrew the tent, they were able to purchase a facility at the corner of Cooper Street and Maple. This group of believers continue to meet and learn and grow in that facility. Pastor Hatcher moved on, and after Pastor Hatcher was there, they had Pastor McBride, Pastor Ray, Pastor Burris, Pastor Thurman, and then my first pastor was Pastor F.S. Kemper Sr. Pastor Kemper came here by faith, moving his young family from Kentucky to be the pastor of this growing congregation at Mount Pisgah. He didn't know where Kokomo was. He did not know the town, the city. He did not know anything about it except this is where God was leading him to be. So they grew. Mount Pisgah continued to grow and thrive under Pastor Kemper. And in 1967, they purchased some land on Sycamore Street where they built a new edifice, and the congregation marched in 1969 and started worshiping there on Sycamore Street. He continued to preach, continued to teach, and Mount Pisgah continued to grow. In 2001, the Lord called Pastor Kemper home. But that was not without preparing Mount Pisgah to receive its new pastor, Pastor Lonnie Anderson Jr. During this time, in 2002, Pastor Anderson started teaching and preaching and encouraging, and the Mount continued to grow. Mount Pisgah continued to thrive under Pastor Anderson. His preaching, his teaching, and his encouragement continued to light a fire under those members of the Mount so that they would continue to grow spiritually In 2006, the need arose for the community to build another edifice because they were outgrowing what they had. Pastor Anderson continued to preach, continued to teach, and we moved in. The economy tanked in 2008. Pastor Anderson continued to preach, continued to teach. Mount Pisgah continued to grow spiritually and physically, and we continue to move forward. Now, in 2024, after he continued to preach and teach, Mount Pisgah has reached a milestone. Mount Pisgah has been in existence for 100 years. We just celebrated 100 years of God leading and guiding this fellowship called Mount Pisgah. We know that God leads the pastor and he leads the flock. And under the direction of God, we have continued to grow. Under the guidance of Pastor Anderson, we have continued to thrive. Mount Pisgah, lean on your faith. That faith has brought us these 100 years. That faith that you exhibit in your everyday lives. We know many of you have gone through trials and tribulation over the years, but our community of baptized believers that gathers here at Mount Pisgah are encouraging you and are there for you to help you get through. Lean into your faith. That same faith that showed and brought us these 100 years through many pastors, through downturn of the economy, through a pandemic. But God is faithful. Lean into God. Lean on him. Love your brothers and sisters in Christ and continue to serve Jesus Christ. Continue to lift up your hands in prayer and praise and continue to move forward because God is able. God will carry you through. I want to encourage you today, continue to love each other and God will be there for you. Thank you, Mount Pisgah. I encourage you today. I thank you today. Thank you for all you've done. And we just want to see you later. We love you. God bless.